Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is week 12 of NFL Game Picks. Here I have Eddie, I have Chris. Unfortunately, we don't have Bryce today, but I will be announcing his picks and his scores for some games. So, with that being said, unfortunately, last week we didn't make a video, and it did mess up some of our records because some of us didn't get to put in all of our selections. But currently, so for week nine, no, yeah, week 10, I went 9-5, and then week 11, I went 10-4, putting me at 107-54. What about you guys?
Yeah, so let's check it out. Last week I went 7-7, and the week before I went 8-6. I'm sitting at 99-62. Definitely need to try to make a comeback here.
Yeah, week 10 I went 10-4, not a bad week, and then week 11 I don't know what happened to me. I went 6-8, so I'm at 104-57 for the year, and it's got me in second place. So still got a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, you definitely having a bad week last week definitely gave me a little boost on you guys. And Bryce, he was leading the most of the year so far, but in the past 2 weeks he went 7-7 and 9-5, dropping him to 98 and 163. My apologies. So, what do you guys think of Week 11? Joe Burrow went down towards ACL, MCL, had some structural damage to his knee, so he's for sure out for the year. And Booger McFarland suggested that he should stay out until the next season. Like, wait till they build up a better team around him. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think he's gonna be out at least until probably week 2 of next year at the earliest. I don't know. I think they should still play him. They're probably gonna have a pretty high draft pick, so hopefully they just take offensive lineman the time around to protect him a little bit. Maybe sign somebody in off season, but I don't think he should take a whole season off if he can help it.
Yeah, whenever he's ready to go, I think he should be back out there. It's unfortunate what happened to him. I mean, I wish nothing but the best for him. Kid looks great so far, but it's going to be probably like a year before he's back again, and then
Yeah.
getting back in the game shape. So we'll see how that goes.
Eddie, what do you think about Tua being benched for Ryan Fitzpatrick in the fourth quarter? Obviously, he got sacked 6 times, so it was not a good day for him. What do you think about that?
I don't I don't blame it all on Tua. I mean, he was holding the ball a little bit too much, but the offensive line this week was terrible for the Dolphins. But uh, I understand where Flores was coming from. Fitzpatrick gave them a bit of a spark, and I personally wouldn't have pulled him. I think it's a good growing moment for him, but they made the move they did, and you can't look back on it. But he's going to be the starter for next week, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, he definitely did not look good. Obviously, the last 2 sacks that they had on him looked pretty bad. His leg kept on getting caught. So people thought it was injury, but it was Flores announced after the game it was performance based. Chris, anything else you want to add about week 11? And
Yeah, since we're talking about quarterbacks, I just wanted to mention Taysom Hill for the Saints getting his first start and first win, as well as the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. He got his first start and first win as well after I don't even think he was drafted.
yeah, he was
Um,
undrafted. PJ Walker.
yeah, pretty sure he played in uh, for the Citronauts or something like that, I think, wasn't he?
Nah, I'm not too sure, but he did play in the XFL for a little bit, and that's where he kind of got noticed once again. And then he got picked up by the Panthers in the offseason, which was huge because that was like one of the biggest XFL signings. He was probably one of the best quarterbacks in the XFL at the time. So, with all that being said, let's start getting into the games. Obviously, today, Thursday is Thanksgiving, so we have 3 Thanksgiving games as always. Before I get into that, this is brought to you by NFL Game Picker. Make sure you check out the site and do all your game picking needs there. And to kick it off, on Thanksgiving, we have a 12:30 kickoff between Houston and Detroit. So Detroit and the Dallas Cowboys always get Thanksgiving games, and not so good matchup. We have the 3-7 Houston Texans at the 4-6 Detroit Lions, and I don't know, it's just not so good of a matchup. But uh, tradition they always play. I'm going with the Houston Texans, and I believe Bryce is going with the Houston Texans as well. What about you guys?
So I need to make up some games. So I am going to go ahead and take Detroit in this one, I suppose. I think it's going to be a pretty close game, but hopefully Stafford at home can pull something off.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Lions too. I mean, honestly, it's a terrible matchup. Both these teams are really bad. They really have nothing to play for. But I'm going to take the Lions at home because, I don't know. Deshaun Watson looked good last week, but he just has no weapons or anything around him.
Yeah, this honestly wasn't really good of a matchup. Next, we have the Washington football team at the Dallas Cowboys. Both teams are 3-7 and tied with the Giants for a three-way tie for second place in the NFC East with a 3-7 record. Obviously, Philadelphia leads it with 3-6-1 record, and I mean, the NFC least. Whoever gets the least amount of wins this year could get the division. It's I don't know. Washington is riding a little bit higher in my regards of who I think can win this game, but it's honestly a toss up. Especially last week, I had Dallas lose against the Vikings, and then they ended up winning. So any given week, it can be anyone. But when it's these two opponents facing each other, I got to go with the Washington football team, and so does Bryce.
Yeah, I had Minnesota winning in my survivor pool last week, so I'm a little salty at Dallas right now. Ezekiel Elliott finally rushed for 100 yards for the first time in this season. But that defense on Washington is really good, actually. They're in the top five, I think, now, actually, as far as overall defenses. So I'm going to go with the Washington football team.
Hearing both you guys pick the Washington football team, I'm gonna take the Cowboys. They're at home. I think they're finally starting to click. They had a really good week last week. Um, they've really been banged up all year long. I'm gonna take Dallas just because they're at home. I'm gonna take Dallas.
Yeah, that was something I was considering doing as well, just because I mean it's Dallas, it's Thanksgiving. But last week they even had a bad performance against the Buffalo Bills, so you never know, especially this year they're not looking so good. But Mike McCarthy fired up the team before the game last week by smashing a watermelon with a sledgehammer. I don't know if you guys heard about that. But anyways, now we have the night game of Thanksgiving. We have the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baltimore 6-4. Steelers are 10-0, undefeated still. And you know, things have not been looking good for the Baltimore Ravens as of late. They start off hot, obviously, and then it just hasn't looked good. Their offense has been really very limited. They haven't really been doing much. And then now news is coming out of some corona outbreaks. J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram, the running back as well. So it's just not looking good. I got to stick with the Steelers. They've been proving to be one of the best teams in the NFL, and they continue to be undefeated. And we're doing scores for this one. So I will say Bryce sent me his scores, but before that, I have the Ravens losing 26-31 to the Steelers, and then Bryce has it as let me see. He has it as Ravens 20, Steelers 24.
Yeah, it looks like everybody is gonna take the Steelers. I have to make up some ground here, so let's go Baltimore. I have the Ravens winning 28-20. Hopefully, Lamar Jackson starts to figure it out. He was the MVP last year, so hopefully he plays like MVP on Thanksgiving for us.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride with the hot hand in Pittsburgh, especially with Baltimore going through all these COVID protocols and all that. Pittsburgh's been rolling. They don't always win pretty, but they end up winning. I think their defense gives Lamar Jackson problems this week, so I'm gonna take the Steelers.
Yeah, as of late, a lot of teams have been going into just like the very strict protocols that they can only do meetings online and such. So pretty much the whole league is doing that right now. Even teams that don't even have cases, just so it's kind of fair. But yeah, I don't know, Chris. I don't know if you want to make up ground by picking the Ravens here. Do you guys think this game actually gets played with all this Corona stuff going on? Eddie's shaking his head no. What about you, Chris?
I mean, I really hope so. So there's a late game for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, because this is looking like the best late Thanksgiving game. I mean, because the other two
The
games are
only
not looking
good
good.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's gonna be interesting to see. But now we have the first Sunday game. We have the Arizona Cardinals at the New England Patriots, and I mean Arizona's 6-4, Patriots 4-6, and just lost to Houston last week. And I'm taking the Cardinals. They've been rolling pretty good, especially after that DeAndre Hopkins catch, which we didn't even get to talk about last week because we didn't record. But I mean, that catch was insane, and I think they keep this energy flowing. I think they can beat the Patriots. What about you guys?
yeah, I'm gonna continue on with the high hand here as well. Gonna go with Carolina. Uh, Patriots haven't been looking great this year, and Kyler Murray looks really good. So I think the Cardinals win this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Cardinals too. I think it's gonna be a closer game though. Foxborough is definitely a tough place to go in and play, but yeah, I mean Kyler Murray, that offense is looking really explosive, and New England did not look good at all last week against Houston. So I'm gonna take Arizona.
Yeah, the defense for the Patriots got a little taste of some of what they're gonna get with Kyler Murray this week, or what from what they got from Deshaun Watson last week. Similar players, not very the same, but they're very similar. Also, Bryce is picking Arizona, by the way. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers at the Minnesota Vikings, and I mean both teams. Carolina's 4-7, Minnesota's 4-6, and I think Minnesota has a leg up on this game. Uh, PJ Walker did get his first win last week, but I don't see him continuing that. Especially, I think this Vikings team is just a tad bit better than this Panthers team, but this is a coin flip game, and Bryce is going. He's going to be going Vikings as well.
I'm gonna take the Vikings, but I'm gonna hope Carolina wins honestly in this one, so they stop making up ground on my Bears. Uh, but I think Minnesota's been playing actually pretty decent. I mean, you have two great wide receivers in Thielen and Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook's been leading the league in rushing. So as long as Kirk Cousins doesn't turn the ball over, they should win. So I'm gonna go with the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Vikings too. Um, Dalvin Cook's been unstoppable the last couple of weeks, and I think they figured it out too late into the season. I think their season's kind of done for already, but they've been winning games. Carolina, I mean, PJ Walker had a great game last week, but I don't think he wins, especially on the road against Minnesota. They should have a pretty good defense.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to see what happens with these two teams going forward. But at least for this week, it's going to be really close. I think it's going to come down probably to the last two possessions for each team. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Cleveland is 7-3. Jaguars is 1-9, and I think Cleveland wins this game, but there's a strong chance that the Jacksonville Jaguars just do some witchcraft and win the game. But yeah, definitely Bryce picked Cleveland as well. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cleveland. I think it's an easy pick, honestly. Jacksonville's defense is bottom 5 in the league, and Cleveland's been running the ball well. Uh, if you've noticed, Baker Mayfield still is not playing good, but they still are managing to win games, even with the injury to OBJ. Plus, with him, honestly, most games he's held under 200 yards. Still don't know how he's starting, honestly, but they're running the ball great, and I think they'll probably run all over Jacksonville's terrible defense.
Yeah, that Cleveland offense just has a lot of weapons, whether it's Chubb behind Landry or any of the tight ends. But yeah, especially against Jacksonville, Jacksonville's offense hasn't looked good at all. I mean, it should be an easy win for the Browns, but you never know.
Yeah, I think they could win this game easily. But to refer to Chris's point about Baker Mayfield not performing so well, he doesn't really need to, especially with the offense they're going to running. Is just Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are just running the ball excellent. Like he has a good supporting cast, and that's why they got these players from. So I think they're going in the right direction. Obviously, Baker Mayfield is not the focal point of having. He doesn't have to have a great game for them to win, which is good because if you have a team like that, then someone can slack one day and then other people will pick them up. Next, we have the Los Angeles Chargers at the Buffalo Bills. Chargers are 3-7. Bills are 7-3. And I want the Chargers to win so bad, just so the Dolphins can make some ground on the Bills right now. But do I think it's gonna happen? Undoubtedly, it's not gonna happen. I think the Bills are gonna win, and so does Bryce. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Austin. I would like to see the Chargers win, but I don't think they will. I think the Bills are a really good team this year, so I have the Bills. But Justin Herbert's more than likely, if he stays healthy, going to set the rookie record for touchdowns. Speaking of Baker Mayfield, he has the record, and I think he's only like 5 touchdowns behind him. So if he throws a couple of touchdowns here, it's going to be interesting. But I'm taking the Bills.
I hope the Chargers win. I mean, I think the Dolphins stay in the race, but yeah, I think the Bills should beat up on the Chargers. I think it'll be a closer game than people think, but I think it's a high scoring game. But I'm gonna take Buffalo.
Yeah, I do think first that Herbert could reach that, but I don't think it could get as much ground on it in this game. I think Buffalo's secondary is pretty good and can defend the pass pretty well. I think their defense is pretty well rounded in general. But I think this game could be one of those type of back and forth type of shootouts. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I mentioned that Bryce picked Buffalo Bills as well. Next, we have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Atlanta Falcons, and Falcons 3-7, Raiders 6-4. And Raiders, they're competing very well against the Chiefs last Sunday night against the Chiefs, but it was, I think they scored a little bit too early, but their card threw that undoubtful touchdown to Darren Waller, and it was a little bit too pre-advanced celebration. But I think the Raiders will win this one. So does Bryce. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders as well. Atlanta is one of the more disappointing teams of the year. The Raiders have almost beaten Kansas City twice now. It's come down to the end of the game, and they've lost both times, but they've held their own against the defending Super Bowl champs twice. And I'm pretty sure Julio Jones didn't finish the game last week for Atlanta, so that's their best playmaker on offense. So I can't take Atlanta in this one.
Just to piggyback what you said, the Chiefs only lost this year to the Raiders. That the first matchup they went in the KC and they whooped them. Not whooped on them, but they beat.
Oh yeah, you're right. So
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, they did have a good beatdown on them. Yeah. I gotta say, but continue on, Eddie.
But no, I mean, I think the Raiders play good teams good. They play them close. Don't think Atlanta really should be too much of a problem for them. So I think the Raiders roll.
Yeah, it would be very, very surprising if the Falcons win this game. They've been one of those teams that they've been just giving up the leads, kind of like how the Lions have been early on in the year. Next, we have the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets. It's going to be a good game. Dolphins can bounce back off their loss to the Denver Broncos from last week. And I'm just excited to see what happens. But Bryce has the Dolphins winning 35-14, and I have the Dolphins winning 27-20. I think it's going to be a little bit closer game. The Jets have been looking a little bit better as of late. They're just trying to show that, they're not as bad of a team as they are. But, they tried putting up a fight against the Chargers, but I think they still end up winless after this week. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think they're the worst team in football, the Jets. So I'm taking the Dolphins. I have them 35-13, so fairly close to what Bryce had. Hopefully, I have picked up the Dolphins defense, so hopefully they have a monster day for me. They've been okay so far, so I'm rolling with the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Dolphins. I think they win 24-10. I just think that Denver's defense completely outplanned Miami last week. Tua looked confused the entire game with everything Denver threw at him. Vic Fangio did a great job planning it, and don't think Greg Williams and Adam Gase have that in them. So that's the Dolphins.
I don't think we're gonna shut them out again this week. Obviously, you've seen from my score. I think the Jets are making better strides, but they're not gonna have enough what I think it is to beat the Dolphins, and that's me trying to be as unbiased as possible because I think the Dolphins can slaughter them. Next, we have the New York Giants at the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, we mentioned earlier Joe Burrow out for the year, blew up his knee. And earlier in the game, Chase Young popped him on the goal line and made a fumble happen, which was quite the play. I honestly was crazy to see. But with that being said, without Joe Burrow, I don't think this Bengals team can beat this Giants team. That's ultimately the deciding factor. If Joe Burrow's in this game, I think they could easily pull off the win, but it will be close. What about you guys? Before that, Bryce is also picking the Giants.
Yeah, no Joe Burrow, no win here, I don't think. So I guess I have to take the Giants.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Giants too. I think Cincinnati is starting Ryan Finley, if I'm correct. But I think the Giants have been playing better football as in the last couple of weeks, even though the whole division's record is terrible. But I think the Giants win this. I think Finley just gets thrown into a bad situation there.
Yeah, the Giants are competing for first in their division, while the Bengals are pretty much at the bottom of the league, and their records are not too far off from each other, which is insane to say. This next game is probably, I think this is probably one of the best games of the week. But we didn't do scores for it just because I think it was too good of a game to do scores for it to go. And I haven't even picked it yet. But we have the Tennessee Titans at the Indianapolis Colts. Both teams are 7-3, and these two teams are going to be the deciding factor on who wins the AFC South, and it's gonna be tough. I think this one's gonna go down to the wire to the last game of the year. But oh man, I you guys know who Bryce is picking. Obviously, if you've been watching the shows, Bryce is picking Tennessee, and oh man, the Colts had a really good game last week against the Packers, and the Titans. I mean, they put on a good show against the Ravens as well. So I'm gonna let you guys talk first, and then I'll come back with my selection.
We'll go ahead and I'm gonna take Indiana here. Indianapolis Colts. Tennessee lost I think their best defensive player last week to injury. I haven't really been impressed with Tannehill the last couple weeks. AJ Brown has been looking like a monster though, and you already know Derrick Henry is a monster, so they could easily win. Um, they need to win, or else they'll probably lose the AFC South because they've already lost to the Colts once this year. But I am going with the Colts.
No, we didn't discuss for this one.
Yeah, I was gonna do score, but yeah, never mind. Scratch that.
Chris saying he wasn't impressed with Tannehill just reminds me of the last 7 years of being a Dolphin fan. It's the exact, that's just the phrase to sum it up. But I'm going to take Indianapolis here. Tennessee played a good game against Baltimore last week. They went on to Derrick Henry walk-off. Indianapolis played Green Bay really good. I think Indy's defense holds up, and I don't think Tennessee's offense is good enough. So I'm taking Indianapolis.
I'm still trying to decide, honestly. It's because I do remember when they played that game earlier in the year. I mean, that was a pretty good game, but the Colts just roared off after that second half and just completely put the game on ice. And they pretty much did the same thing last week against the Green Bay Packers. It's this Colts team is interesting. It's very interesting. They have a really good defense. I think they're like on the top of the league on pretty much almost all defensive stats. But this Tennessee team just has really good offensive plays, and obviously the defense is good, but not as good as this Colts team. I'm gonna go with the Colts. I may flip flop. I'm not even too sure. But to move on, first 4 o'clock game we have the New Orleans Saints at the Denver Broncos. Broncos just got to win against the Dolphins, and the Saints, I mean, they just got to win as well, and they just keep things rolling. They're 8-2. Broncos are 4-6, and I'm going with the Saints. I think they're a lot better team than the Broncos, but the Broncos did show a good outing last week against the Dolphins. They pretty much limited the Dolphins' offense pretty much a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Saints as well. I think they need to be a little concerned, this Saint fans, with Drew Brees. Every time I see an update on him, they're adding another broken rib to his report. Although I think honestly, if you give Jameis a shot, and even with Hill, you're still a playoff team in my eyes, and they can still beat Denver. But I would be concerned if I was a Saints fan with Drew Brees in his house. But yeah, I'm going with the Saints.
I'm gonna go with Denver. After what I saw from them last week, I think their defense is gonna bother Taysom Hill a little bit. I don't know if their offense is gonna be able to get them to the win, but I really do think they're gonna contain Taysom Hill. They shut down that Dolphins offense completely, and Drew Lock was able to make some good throws. So I'm gonna take Denver in this one. I think it's my upset of the week.
Yeah, Denver, Drew Lock was pretty much held to 200 yards until the very last fourth down play that he just threw it to kill clock, and it was like 61 yards. But besides that, their running game was really good, and that's what really killed the Dolphins last week. Now the Saints, they're just they're a really good, well-rounded team. They have good weapons around the quarterback, no matter if it's going to be Drew Brees, Taysom Hill, or Jameis Winston. I think their future is bright, especially if they continue developing Taysom Hill to not only just be this gimmick player and be more of a quarterback. I think the odds of sustaining success is going to be very good. To mention also, Bryce picked the Saints. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams, and the 49ers are 4-6, and the Rams are 7-3. Just got off a big win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football, and that was a pretty good game. It was a kind of a back and forth type of game. I'm going Rams. So is Bryce.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Rams, although I was thinking about taking the 49ers because I think Goff is due for a bad game here and like a couple of interception, 3-4 interception game soon. But I just think their defense is really dominant and really good. And even if he has a game like that against the 49ers, I think they could still pull off a win. So I'm going Rams.
Yeah, imagine if the Rams have a better quarterback. I don't like Goff at all, but their defense keeps them in a lot of ball games. But I'm going to take the Rams this week, too. San Francisco, I think they're still all banged up. Rams are playing pretty good. After that Dolphins loss, they bounced back last couple weeks. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams, I believe their last loss was against the 49ers, but that was on the road. They are unbeaten at home, so I just got to roll with them at home. Actually, they beat the Cowboys week 1, right? Yeah, they did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they're unbeaten at home. But their last loss was the 49ers. But that was before they even lost Jimmy Garoppolo. So Nick Mullins is not bad, but I don't think he has enough to beat this Rams defense. Next, we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we're doing scores for this one. I'm going Kansas City, even though the Buccaneers have been doing good. They had a bad performance last week, and though I don't think they're going to follow it up with another bad one, I just think they're running into the wrong team at the moment in this Kansas City Chiefs, and it's going to really set them back because they're competing with the Saints for that NFC South division title. But this is just another step back that I think they're going to be taking. And Bryce has the Chiefs scoring 31 and the Bucks scoring 24. And then my score is a little bit more different. Chiefs 35, Buccaneers 33. What about you guys?
I want to take Tampa because nobody else is taking them right now. But I'm rolling with Kansas City. I mean, Tom Brady looked kind of bad last week. And I think Kansas City is just going to I think they're going to give this defense some issues. Honestly, I think it's a clash between one of the best offenses and one of the best defenses. And I think this offense is just far more greater. I have them winning 42-24. I don't think it's going to be that close. And I think Brady's going to struggle again.
Yeah, I agree. I think Brady's going to have another tough time. I want to see how he bounces back because those last couple of drives against the Rams, he did not look good. But Tampa Bay does have a good defense. I think I still trust Mahomes and all them to keep rolling. But I think the score is going to be, take it 31-21. I think the Chiefs win.
Nice. Yeah, the Chiefs are 9-1. Like I mentioned earlier, Buccaneers 7-4. It's it's gonna be a good game. I like this matchup right here. This is definitely one of those games that some people circled on their calendars when the NFL schedule announced to see Brady versus Mahomes, and this time it's even more interesting because he's no longer on the Patriots. So next we have Sunday Night Football. We have the Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers, and it's gonna be a good game. I want to see what happens with Nick Foles here. I want to see if he, is healthy enough to play. If Trubisky healthy enough to play, because I just found out the other day because he was injured earlier. So is who's going to be playing at quarterback? Uh, Even then, I still won't have faith in this Bears team beating the Packers. They started off very hot and they've been sliding ever since, and it's been pretty tragic. Bears 5-5, Packers 7-3. I'm going Bears 21, Packers 34, and then Bryce is also going Packers with the Bears 21, Packers 27.
Yeah, Bears are coming off a bye week here, so we had a little bit of time to prepare. It's kind of late in the season for our first matchup against the Packers. It's kind of unusual actually that it's this late in the season, but I mean that's the schedule, so we're rolling with it. I really both of our quarterbacks are listed as injured right now. I don't know. Nick Foles got carted off the field the last time we saw him, and Trubisky has a shoulder injury, and we don't have another quarterback on the team. So that's going to be fun. With that being said, hopefully one of the quarterbacks comes out and keeps Matt Nagy his job because I think he's on the hot seat if they continue to slide and continue to lose. So hopefully they come back and beat the Packers. I have them winning 24-21.
I'm going to take Green Bay just because I don't know who's going to be starting for Chicago. But I think Green Bay is going to bounce back. They should have won that game against Indianapolis. They kind of blew it at the end there. And yeah, I mean, I don't think Chicago's offense can keep up with Green Bay's offense. I'm going to take Green Bay.
Nice. Yeah, it's unfortunate what's happening there in Chicago, especially with the quarterback situation. They've finally had somewhat of a stable situation at quarterback, and one of relatively the first time in franchise history, besides like kind of when they had Jay Cutler in recent past, but just still the same problem. Next, we have Monday Night Football. We have the Seattle Seahawks at the Philadelphia Eagles. Seattle 7-3. Philadelphia is 3-6-1. And both teams are leaders in their respective divisions. And I expect Seattle to win. I think it's going to be somewhat close around halftime, but I feel like Seattle's just going to blow off this game at the second half and just completely win this one outright. What do you guys think?
Going with Seattle. They've been kind of banged up this year. Russell Wilson has had a couple of rough weeks in a row. He's thrown a couple of interceptions. I think they come back out and get a statement win here. Try to stay on top of their division. So I'm taking the Seahawks, and I think they're actually going to blow the Eagles out of the water.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Seahawks too. I don't think this game's close. I watched the Browns play the Eagles last week, and Carson Wentz did not look good. So I'm gonna take Seattle. I think they win this game pretty easily, even though it's on the road at Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I think Bryce also picked Seattle Seahawks, and this was the playoff, the wild card game last year. It was Seattle versus Philadelphia, and Seattle ended up getting the win there. So I don't think Russell or the whole Seattle team is going to be phased as the whole primetime game on the road. Anything you guys want to add about this week? Floor is open.
Yeah, just hopefully the Bears continue to try to work through these issues and stay in the hunt. We had a bye week. Hopefully we used it to our advantage, and I hope we have a quarterback. I mean, we're not playing on Thursday, which is disappointing. I like watching my team play on Thanksgiving, but we do have the Sunday night game, and we need the win here. We keep losing on primetime TV. We can't have that.
So real quick, didn't the Bears start off 5-0? Or was it
5-1?
5-1. and they've lost 4 straight. It's just not looking good for the Bears right now. Like, they have such a good defense, and it's being wasted by this inopportunistic offense, which was somewhat similar to what happened last week with the Dolphins and the Broncos, which the Dolphins were somewhat doing a good defensive game, and then the offense just could not do anything. The Broncos defense was pretty much all up into his face. Eddie, you looked like you wanted to say something before I cut in.
No, yeah, I think the Dolphins and the Bears are similar in that sense. Chan Gailey runs a real old school type of playbook. I think the Dolphins after this season will move on from him. I think they need somebody like a Cliff Kingsbury type, more innovative. But no, I hope Tua bounces back this week, gets his confidence up against a pretty bad Jets team, and hopefully everybody stays healthy. I mean, you don't want to see anything happen like what happened to Burrow. Just want to see people play football.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate to see Burrow go down, which is now pretty much going to put Justin Herbert as maybe the clear-cut rookie of the year, especially if he does break that record that Chris mentioned earlier. Anything else you guys want to say? The floor is open. Pretty sure Bryce would be talking about his Tennessee Titans right now and just saying, "Oh, you guys are wrong. Gonna beat the Goats." But that's about it from this week. If you haven't done it yet, check out NFLGamePicker.com, where we do our game picks, and hopefully I can stay on top of the leaderboard and continue beating up on you guys. It was a rough first couple weeks, and now I'm finally on top, and it's my time to brag. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with your family, and also be safe out there. You know, COVID is still out there and about. But that's about it for week 12. We'll see you again next week for week 13. Thanks for watching.